Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, Vedic Living. Today, we'll be talking about the new moon that is happening on the 14th of September. And I want to tell you what all's going to happen with this new moon and where it is in your chart and what that means for you. Before we go any further, remember, if you want to look at your chart, you can go to my website, www.vedicliving.com, and use the free chart calculator to calculate your chart. That way you know where the new moon is happening for you. And also remember, I'm going to put the link for this below this video, but we have an amazing magazine. It's the Astrology Insights magazine by Joni Petrie. And I'm the editor for this magazine. And, every month we put out a beautiful array of articles from everything that has to do with spirituality. It is Vedic astrology, we have Vastu Shastra, we have numerology, Reiki, we have things to do with Ayurveda. So it is a very spiritual magazine. This magazine is digital. We wanted to make sure a lot of people have access to it. So it's digital. You can click on the links. You can go to other websites, the authors' websites. You can flip the pages on your phone or your iPad to read the magazine. It is beautiful. So with that being said, I'm going to now move forward to talk about this new moon that's happening on September 14th. So here we are with the chart for the new moon day. And as you know, the new moon is when the sun and moon come together. You can see right here, the sun and moon are together at 27 degrees, 47 minutes of Leo. And this is the new moon. So you can see this is it's the new moon. Now, this particular new moon is very impactful, and I'll tell you why. It's in the sign of Leo. Leo is a fire sign. It's an action-oriented sign. So when you have the sun, moon, or your ascendant in Leo, you're an action-oriented person. You don't like, beating about the bush. You don't like procrastinating. You're like, you know what, let's get this done, right? All the fire signs are like that. I think Leo a little bit more than the others, but it's a sign of rulership. And, the new moon being in Leo, it's going to bring a lot around the world out in terms of leaders, world leaders, and rulers. And you'll see that happening as we go closer towards this new moon. And even after it, because remember, a new moon is always the dark moon, right? So after it is when you see the effect going from the new moon to the full moon, those 2 weeks, because it brings those hidden things out into the open, into the bright light. So you don't see things happening on the new moon day, but it tells us the trend of the month, because this is where the energy is concentrated. So that's why the new moon is so important. And every year when the new moon happens in Pisces, that is a big focal point for the year. Now, the new moon in Leo, what's really interesting is look at Mercury sitting right next to it. And this is important because Mercury is stationed pretty much at this time, and it's going to, get ready to go direct soon. Now, the stationed Mercury sitting on the new moon, this is a time of communications. This is a time of where people come together, they talk about things, they get things done. It's happening in a fire sign, it's action-oriented. So, a lot is happening around that area, and combined with the Mars in Virgo, which I talked about earlier, if you remember in my September predictions, this is where people are rising in action, right? Because you have the new moon happening in Leo, you have Mars sitting in Virgo, which is, all about indignation and getting your rights, making sure your voice is heard. And, as all the strikes and everything that are going on it can be attributed to this. Now, Mercury being the planet of communication, this is a good time for, especially when Mercury goes direct. It's a good time for things to be communicated to people who are in power, because the sun is in Leo. It rules your leadership. So when you're not talking about country leaders, this means your boss at work, right? If you're in a work situation. And it's a great time to talk and get things resolved, regarding things that you have been concerning you, especially in the 2 weeks that are after this new moon. And what also is giving a lot of hope at this time is the fact that Jupiter will be here. It's at 21 degrees and it's trining this new moon. Now, remember always, a trine is a good aspect. It is considered a wealth giving or a hope giving kind of aspect, 1, 5, or 9. it's harmonious. Now, with the Jupiter aspecting this new moon, it's giving a lot of hope and expansion for the future. People are feeling good about things, especially leadership. People who are, looking at the leaders of countries, you're feeling good about where things are going. Now, I do have to mention, though, with the Uranus, look at the Uranus. Uranus has got a closer aspect to this new moon than Jupiter, right? Uranus is at 28 degrees and the new moon is almost at 28 degrees. So a tight trine of Uranus to the new moon, which tells us that things are going to be very unexpected, right? Things unexpected, out of the blue things can happen. And also remember, Uranus rules technology. So when I see Uranus aspecting the new moon or sitting with the new moon, I always know that something's going to come out in terms of an unexpected invention or a discovery. Technological advances are going to happen. Uranus rules space exploration. So those kind of things, this is good. This is something we can look forward to. This is a good aspect with the Uranus aspecting the new moon. And with the Mercury being sitting there, this is about communications. Jupiter is aspecting it, it's expansion. So this is all looking good. Now, the one thing we need to also mention is the new moon is happening in the nakshatra called Uttara Falguni. This nakshatra, Uttara Falguni, it rules creativity. Now, you have to remember, it comes in the sign Leo. Leo is the creative person, right? It rules, it's the natural fifth house. It's about being on the stage. It's about performance. It's about creativity. It's about showcasing what you can do as an individual, not a group, right? This is an individual. And the fact that you have this new moon sitting here in Uttara Falguni in Leo is telling us that a lot of creative ideas and things are going to come out in this time frame. Remember, I was talking about the Uranus also aspecting it. So that is to do with inventions and discoveries and those kind of things. And, people think outside the box when it comes to this situation. Because one of the main things I've seen with Uttara Falguni is they are very positive, action-oriented people. They like to make sure that they take action to resolve certain problems. They take leadership, right? They don't like to complain about things and they take action. So this is a very important thing with the Uttara Falguni. And the mythology of Uttara Falguni is also very important. I've been doing my nakshatra series and I've not reached as far as Uttara Falguni. So I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit here. But because we are talking about the new moon, I want to talk about the story as well. Now, Uttara Falguni, the mythology behind this is the birth of the 12 sons of Aditi, goddess Aditi, and sage Kashyapa. And they were called the Adityas, the 12 sons, because they were named after the mother. So, the 12 sons were born. Now, this particular nakshatra is ruled by Aryaman, and Aryaman was one of the 12 sons of Aditi and Kashyapa. So what is interesting here is that it does have a lot to do with kingly qualities, leadership qualities, and royal duties. People who are, feeling the sense of responsibility towards people that are dependent on them. They feel a sense of obligation to the people around them. And that is what this nakshatra rules. So it is a good nakshatra. Remember, when a planet is stationed, it is very important because it's almost like it's calling all the attention to itself, saying, I'm doing something here, look at me. So I think this is a time when a lot of things will be communicated in the open with no fear of backlash, right? People who are in leadership positions, and even at, on your personal front, you will see you're very outspoken at this time. This is going to bring out a lot of those pent-up emotions and feelings outside. Now, another thing also is, remember we were talking about the nodes. The nodes are right now stationed. This is also super important because they are stationed at 0 degrees of Aries. And like I said in the past, they will be there till the end of November. Now, this is a Gandhanta degree. So, because it's in the first few degrees of a fire sign, or, the Gandhanta is also the last few degrees of a water sign. Now, the nodes being in a Gandhanta position is also pretty important when you think about this new moon, because things can feel a little bit out of control around you. Maybe because of the open communication and the way you're expressing yourself without any fear or without holding back, it can cause some unstable situations where, you feel like things are moving very, very quickly out of control. And also remember, once Mercury goes direct, everything's moving forward that was stuck in the past. So this is important to notice that this is a very karmic few months for the whole world, because the nodes are so still, right? They are pretty much stationed at that point in the sky at 0 degrees of Aries. So it's new beginnings. Things are starting that are brand new. Everything that's happening now in terms of, people who are in the public eye or in your personal life, this is all starting new beginnings in your life. And you will notice that over the course of the next few months, once the nodes start gaining strength, they have pretty much done their work, right? So right now they're doing their work by sitting there at that, holding that degree really strong. So this is a very karmic time, so whatever is happening now will give rise to a lot of good outcome in future. Remember, I was telling you about the inventions and discoveries, things that are coming out. Some of those things may be challenged, right? Some of those new inventions may be challenged by the general public. Why? Because Uranus is retrograde. When a planet is retrograde, things that are happening when it's retrograde is challenged when that planet goes direct. Just like when a Mercury is retrograde, things that you do when Mercury is retrograde, you tend to change your mind when Mercury goes direct. So similarly, with Uranus being retrograde, every new invention or discovery, everything that's coming out now in the area of technology and communications, once Uranus goes direct, those things will be challenged. People will be starting to doubt that it's needed. So there's going to be quite a bit of contention around that. So remember that as well when we go into this time frame. But as always, I want to remind you about this new moon. Every time there's a new moon, it's a wonderful time for setting an intention. So around this time, and this is Eastern Standard Time, you can see it's 9:38 p.m. In the east, on the east coast of United States. So you can do the conversion of time for wherever you are. It's not what you have in the physical. But at the same time, this is a wonderful time to close your eyes, meditate, and make an intention for the future. And it'll be even more strong if it has something to do with Leo, which is the power of creativity. That means you can think about something that you want to create in future, or power of leadership, where you want to lead something or an effort or a project or something of that sort. And, Mercury, which is communications. If there's something you've been holding back from saying to somebody, you can make that intention that you're going to speak your mind, because the more you keep things inside you, the more it affects you in the physical and the mental area. So this is important to speak your mind. So this is a great time to set that intention for your future. And, once the new moon is over, it goes towards the full moon, your wishes will be fulfilled. So that's the new moon for September. And I hope you come back to my channel for future videos, and like and subscribe. Thank you so much.